So, which teams over the last 25 years have the most losing seasons? And which teams have the least amount of losing seasons? And I'm talking about just Power Five teams here, plus Notre Dame. I saw this picture that you see now, and I know this picture is hard to see. I tried to find a better one. I know this picture is hard to see, but I'm going to talk about a lot of the stuff on here, though. So if you can't see it, I'll mention a lot of the stuff on here. But I've noticed this chart or graph or whatever this is floating around Facebook and Twitter the last couple of days, and some of it to me appears to be pretty obvious, right? And some of it was a little bit surprising, honestly. No surprise to me, you probably would have guessed Vandy, right? Vanderbilt is at the bottom of this list. So 22 of the last 25 seasons have been losing seasons for Vandy. If you're a Vandy fan, thank God for James Franklin, right? I was surprised that Indiana was tied with them, though, with 22. Like, if you'd have asked me to name, like, the two or three schools with the most number of losing records in the last 25 years, I would have probably said Vandy. I don't think I would have guessed Indiana, though. Kansas is just under that at 21. I probably would have, that would have been a team maybe you would have thought of. Duke, Illinois, Rutgers. I mean, these are, you don't have to know a whole lot about college football when you look at these, Vandy, Kansas, Duke, Illinois, Rutgers, Colorado. If you guessed any particular year that they're going to go 4-8, you'd probably just about be right. These are just historically pretty bad teams. So not a lot of surprises to me at the end of the list. Although, like I said, Indiana, I would not have thought Indiana had 22 losing seasons in the last 25 years, but here we are. Of course, they had a losing season last year, too. They only won one Big Ten game last year. They were horrible. They were worse than Nebraska, and that's pretty bad. Some other surprises when you talk about just the worst teams here, which, of course, is on the right side of this picture that you're looking at. Maryland, I don't know if I would have thought Maryland had 16 losing seasons in the last 25 years, but there they are. Baylor's one of the, they're a top 10, top 15 team last year. Could be a top 10, top 15 team again this year. One of the better teams in the Big 12 right now. They've had 15 losing seasons in the last 25 years. Washington State's also had 15, and so has Syracuse. That doesn't really surprise me. Wake Forest with 14, that doesn't surprise me. What about Iowa State? 14 losing seasons in the last 25 years. Matt Campbell turning that around, though. Oregon State, not much of a surprise. Kentucky's probably the best team in college football right now on the right side of this list, right? Of the worst teams over the last, or worst programs over the last 25 years, which basically that's what this chart is telling you. Any team can be good in one particular year or bad in one particular year. But over a 25-year period, this is a pretty good indication of how good or bad your overall program is over an extended period of time, right? Kentucky and Ole Miss. Kentucky, 13 losing seasons in the last 25 years. Ole Miss, 12 losing seasons in the last 25 years. Those are the two teams on the right side of this list that are probably the best teams today, right? Stanford, 12. Pretty much if you're on the right side of this list, you've had a losing season at least half the time over the last 25 years. That's pretty bad. Now, some of the teams in the middle of this list are surprising. I know Texas, everybody loves to clown on Texas. Lord knows I've done it. But Texas has the same number of losing seasons in the last 25 years as Georgia Tech, as Boston College, as Texas Tech. Well, Texas Tech has 7. Unreal. Florida State on the left side, but they also have 6 losing seasons in the last 25 years. Bobby Bowden seems like a long time ago, don't it, Seminole man? North Carolina, 12. Again, almost half. They're in the middle. North Carolina's in the middle list here. About half the time North Carolina's had a losing season over the last 25 years. Mississippi State doesn't really surprise me to see them at 11. Arkansas at 10. I might would have guessed higher. Like if you just would have asked me how many losing seasons has Arkansas had in the last 25 years, I might have guessed higher than 10 on Arkansas. Maybe I'm a little jaded because they were so bad under Chad Morris before Sam Pittman got there. Maybe that kind of skewed my overall opinion of them. They had some pretty good teams. What was it, 15 or so years ago with Darren McFadden and the whole Run DMC deal. I mean, Arkansas has had some periods of time. They're in one now where they've been pretty good. So I don't know. I just feel like I would have guessed a little higher. Missouri at 9, South Carolina at 9. I probably would have guessed higher for South Carolina. Tennessee at 9. Wow, 9 of the last 25 years for Tennessee, they've had a losing record. The same as South Carolina and Missouri. Wow. That's a level of poverty I just can't understand. Tennessee has more losing seasons in the last 25 years than Pitt, than Arizona State, than Kansas State, than Boston College. Tennessee has more losing seasons than Georgia Tech. Wow. Embarrassing. And then if you look over on the left side, of course, the top of the list are going to be the teams with the fewest number of losing seasons. Georgia is on there. They're tied with Wisconsin for the least number of losing seasons. Georgia had a losing season in 2010. This list here, I didn't make this list. This has been floating around on social media the last couple of days. So why they decided to go with 25 years, I don't know. So this goes from, I guess, the 1997 to now. I think Georgia had a losing record in 1996. So if it would have gone back one more year, Georgia would have had another losing record. But in the period of time that this list covers, Georgia and Wisconsin each with just one losing season. So the least number of losing seasons of any Power 5 team or Notre Dame. Ohio State only 2 losing seasons. Oklahoma 2. Clemson 2. That might surprise some people. Before Dabo, they had some down years. Even the first couple of years under Dabo, did Dabo have a losing record in his first or second year? I can't remember. If there's a Clemson fan, maybe they can let us know in the comments. Dabo might have had a losing record one year. I can't remember. Oregon only 2. Only 2 losing seasons for Oregon in the last 25 years. I mean, really, when you look on this left-hand side, particularly the top half of the left-hand side, you're seeing programs that you already know in general if these programs have been pretty good. Fairly consistent good programs. Georgia, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Clemson, Oregon, Florida. At least 2 of those losing seasons there for Florida. Florida's had 3 losing seasons in the last 25 years. 2 of those have came in the last 7 or 8 years. I think twice they've went 4-8 in the last 6 or 7 years. But Virginia Tech, LSU, Michigan, Southern Cal, Alabama, Texas A&M, Miami. Miami, is that surprising? Only 4 losing seasons in the last 25 years. Again, this goes back to 97. So 97 through 2002, Miami was a dominant, one of the best programs in football during the first few years that's covered on this list. But since then, Miami's struggled. I don't know. I might would have guessed maybe Miami had more than 4 losing seasons. Utah is on here at 4. Penn State with 5. Auburn with 5. West Virginia 5. I probably would have guessed more losing seasons for West Virginia too. Iowa with 5. And Oklahoma State with 5. And then we already talked about Florida State there with 6. They're tied with Texas, Georgia Tech, Boston College, Louisville, and TCU. If you're having a hard time reading this chart on your phone or whatever, you could always do a screenshot, and then look at the picture and then enlarge it. But anyway, let me know in the comments down below what surprises you the most on here. Whether it's maybe a team on the left that you thought had more losing seasons than they have, or maybe it's a team on the right that you would have guessed had less losing seasons. What surprises you the most here? Number of losing seasons in the last 25 years.